Welcome to part 4 of our playthrough of Walden. We are now in a new season. We are in late fall. And just to share the opening passage of the season, since that wasn't in this video, I'm going to turn through the journal. I actually went back and played, kind of replayed the early fall season in order to tend the beans each day, which was something we did not do in the third video. Just to make sure the beans kept growing. So if you're playing through and you want to grow beans, you want to make sure that you tend them every day. I got so caught up in wandering through the woods and looking at interesting plants and so forth that I didn't catch that. But one new entry that I got on that other playthrough that wasn't in the video was the dogwood. So there's a passage here on page 42. I derive a certain excitement, not to be refused even, from going where the poison dogwood abounds. This simple stemmed bush is very full of fruit, hanging in loose, dry, pale green, dripping panicles. I cannot refrain from plucking it and carrying home some pretty sprigs. So when we go outside in a second, I'll show you the dogwood that I discovered. The opening passage for our new season here in the journal in late fall. Emil Hirsch, Henry, voiced this passage. Now, in the late fall, nature begins to strip herself like an athlete for her contest with her great antagonist, winter. In the bare trees and twigs, I see such a display of muscle. So just to step outside and show you, when I was picking some sumac berries, I had overlooked the whole time this bush growing right here in front of us. And with the bright red colors, it's a little bit harder to miss. But this was the Cornus florida, the dogwood. And you can see the sumacs, the leaves have all died and are falling down, but the berries are still there and we can still pick some for food.
Interesting.
The sumac grew luxuriantly about the woods, growing 5 or 6 feet the first season. Its broad pinnate tropical leaf was pleasant though strange to look on. The large buds developed themselves as by magic into graceful green and tender boughs. The red huckleberry is not ripe in the fall. Still, we can't take any of that. So we have the sumac. The blueberries are also gone. And let's check the purslane as well. Yep, that's still gone as well. We have sumac. There's some berries for our food. Okay, that's all green now. Do a little mending of our house here, just to keep up with that. You could see the cracks in the walls on the inside of the house from the wear and tear over time. So as we're patching things up, now they're back to normal. We got winded, so we'll rest by the fire. Looks like our clothes need some tending as well. So while we're doing this, I'm going to review all of the things that we encountered in the last season, episode 3 of the early fall. So we came across the woodchuck, the red maple, creeping juniper, the ground nut, the white oak, the bracken fern, the eastern red spruce, the partridge, the old man mushroom, the hay-scented fern, Pennsylvania sedge, the bird's foot violet, the white birch, the cattail, the sandbar willow, the skaters or water bugs, some tadpoles, and I looked up this species, and that was the American bullfrog we saw tadpoles of at the end of the last episode, and the blue flag, the flower that was on the water's edge. Do a little chopping here to keep up our wood pile. Okay, that should be all good. And we've got a letter here.
Many thanks, dear Henry. With your help, our friend, Henry Williams, found the supplies left for him and made his way on to town, where he was also assisted by your sister Sophia and your mother. They ministered to him with cheerfulness and devotion, and he is on his way north as I write. It is clear to me that, as Mr. Garrison says, the destiny of the slaves is in the hands of American women. Your friend, A. Ronson Alcott.
Okay, so our mission was successful and Henry is safely on his way. That's great. And let's see what else we have to do here. We have Sophia's game, and we can go do many of the odd jobs we have. We can go find the book that Emerson is asking for. One of the things we haven't started is working for Dr. Agassiz, collecting specimens. And in order to do that, we're going to have to get our fishing rod first. So let's walk down to the pond and along the shore. You can see the foliage is kind of thinned out. The atmosphere is kind of smokier now. Really pretty maple here. The red maple again. Let's see what these guys are. Those are our white birch saplings. You can see the white bark there. When they grow big, you can really see the white. This area of the pond is Thoreau's Cove. Dips in towards the cabin. And we can come out into this area called the Sandbar, which you can still see today. Oh, we have a friend coming up. Look at that.
Interesting.
Red squirrel. Usually the red squirrel waked me in the dawn. One would approach, at first warily through the shrub oaks, running by fits and starts like a leaf blown by the wind, then suddenly pausing with a ludicrous expression, as if all the eyes in the universe were eyed on him. Let's add the red squirrel to our list. It's one of my favorite animals. Very territorial and very, they will let you know when you are getting close to their nest. They will bounce and chitter and do all kinds of, ludicrous display. That's a good word. There's an arrowhead on the sandbar.
I am no more lonely than the loon in the pond that laughs so loud, or than Walden Pond itself. I am no more lonely than a single mullein or dandelion in a pasture, or a bean leaf or sorrel, or a horsefly or a bumblebee. I am no more lonely than the millbrook, or a weathercock, or the North Star, or the south wind, or an April shower, or a January thaw, or the first spider in a new house.
So we found our fishing rod, which is just a stick from a tree with a line on it. And we can go fishing now. Although, so far, not very lucky. Remember, the first specimens that Agassiz asked for were some fish. So hopefully we can catch some to send. Okay, so this is a walleye, and we're going to keep this one for Dr. Agassiz. We'll We'll add walleye to our list. This one's a yellow perch. We'll add that to our list as well and keep this one. Apparently Henry's pretty sleepy. So we're getting paid from the biologist, the naturalist, every time we collect specimens that we can send from the list that was in the post office for us. Here's another yellow perch. We'll keep for him. A lot of people, their only, real ways of experiencing the outdoors are, oh look, we got a common shiner. We'll add that to our list, and we'll also keep that one. Our, like hunting and fishing, sports which involve, damage to animals in some way, killing, eating the animals. And if we were doing this for subsistence, that's one thing, but doing it for sport, it's nice when there are other ways that you can connect with nature, when you can go out with a photograph or, a spyglass or, binoculars and, or a notebook and draw or write or observe, and yet still learn the kinds of skills in tracking and following animals that hunters learn, without having necessarily to do harm. Any of the fish that we catch, we can add to our food stores if we don't need to keep them for agassiz, but this one, another yellow perch. And let's check the journal and see which ones are left. So we need 4 more common shiners in order to complete the list that was asked for. So that one was just added to our food store. Everybody loves fishing in games, right? It's one of the most exciting mini games. Especially when you catch nothing, right? Thrilling. High octane gameplay. Alright, so it's getting late. We're gonna make a trip back up to the cabin. Let's rest here for a moment. Okay, we'll keep going on our way. I like the sight of the cabin at night, the light shining in it. It looks really cozy. We'll keep on going up the path here, and we're just going to check on the bean field and see how everything's growing before the day ends. There's nothing to weed. The beans have flowered, and then the newer row of beans over here hasn't quite flowered yet, but we don't have any weeds. But just to show what the bean field looks like when it's growing in a healthy way. something you have to really pay attention to in the first couple of days, but today is a day where it just gets to grow. So that's the end of day 1 in the season of late fall. So we'll review our journal entries. And the new species that we encountered were the dogwood, the red squirrel, the walleye, the yellow perch, and the common shiner. Alright, so I'm going to wake where we are just so we can check on the bean field again first thing in the morning here. And we have some beans. This last row and couple plants we didn't get to back when, those are still flowering, but the beans are ready to be picked. So today will be the day we can begin our harvest. I'm not going to do that right away, because if you pick beans and your food stores are not full, it will just add to your food store and will not give you money. And in order to make the most money from being able to sell them, we're going to gather other food first. We're going to gather some more of our sumac. This is a nice, good go-to plant. Easy to find close to the cabin, easy to spot out in the wild as well. Okay, our food's full. Looks like our house is, needs some repair already. I'm just gonna check and see. What do we got here?
Good, Henry. Mr. Garrison has heard of your sentiments against slavery in our nation. I know that his recent lecture at our Lyceum roused you quite thoroughly. He asks if you won't write something for the Liberator on the topic. I suggest sending this manuscript on slavery in Massachusetts that you left with me recently. It will certainly move many hearts and minds. With thanks, Alcott.
Alright, so we'll take the Slavery in Massachusetts manuscript to the post office and mail out our next attempt at getting published. And we have another letter here from Sophia.
November 1845. Henry, the seasons are turning now, and we all feel the coldness of time. Does the work progress? Do you think it will be done by spring? Have you prepared well for the winter to set in? Love, Sophia.
I'm patching up the house right now, Sophia. Now the music, which was so full when we started in the summer, it's down to kind of like the bare minimum now. It's just these slight notes, almost like how the season, the life is going into hibernation. Let's get fully rested, go back outside, fully stock up our food once again. We used a bit of the food because we were working on the house. And now that we're stocked up, we'll go up and start picking the beans. I'll have to pick the last row tomorrow because those still need another day to ripen. And there won't be enough time to plant more this season before the winter comes. Okay, let's check and see how much we've made from that. We have $14.77 now. So things to do, we have other ways to still earn money. We can look for Emerson's book, continue Sophia's riddles, collect those 4 common shiners, mail our article, and do surveying. So let's head down to the post office and drop off the manuscript. Actually, you know what? I think there may be time today to make it out to the pond real quick and pick up Emerson's book so we can drop it off to him on the way. If we can't make it totally, we can just wake up where we are and continue tomorrow. These ferns are turning a red color now. Those are our hay-scented ferns, the Dixonias. So the marsh, which is across from the pond over here, is where the Confucius is supposed to be. Now you can see the white bark much brighter on the white birches over here. Let's walk along the shore. Wow. Other red maple seedlings here. I think I see the rock from here. The reading rock. Yep, there it is.
Confucius said, "To know that we know what we know, and that we do not know what we do not know, that is true knowledge."
From the Analects of Confucius, there's some passages. And we'll take this to Emerson. Those are really bright. Those are the blueberry bushes. We are a little bit low on our fuel store, so I should be picking up driftwood as we go around. Got a lot to carry back, I guess. We'll rest so we can move a little bit faster as we go. So we have a good long way to go. Up past the bean field. This is a really cool path to walk as well. You can walk today from Emerson's house through the woods to the cabin on a trail. Not a very far walk, but it goes through some really pretty places. Down to the house. That's about enough sprinting for him. Those early goldenrods have changed. You see them now?
Huh.
Goldenrod withstood the winter, more obvious and interesting frequently than in summer even, as if their beauty was not right till then.
I hardly know what you do with your time, Henry. The children say you took them out huckleberrying all day rather than working on those edits I suggested for your article. Sometimes I think I would like to see your work published more than you would.
I think so.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So we'll drop off this book.
Ah, you found my Confucius. Good for you, Henry. I wanted to look at that passage about knowing what we know and what we don't know. I know you must know the what I mean.
No, I haven't read it.
Oh, well, I had hoped you would, and that it would give you inspiration. You should look at it when you have a moment. Your experiment reminds me quite a bit of what Confucius says about needing only coarse rice for food, water to drink, and the bended arm for a pillow to achieve happiness. Since we're discussing these ethical scriptures, I've also been looking all over for my laws of Manu. I was reading it the other day over by the cleared area near Haywood's Peak. Have you seen it there by any chance?
I haven't seen it, but I can look for it.
Wonderful. Let me mark the very spot I think I left it on your map so that you can find it.
That shouldn't be difficult to find. I'll see you again soon.
Dear Emerson, I thank you for your kind words on the dial and for sending the piece by Mr. Thoreau. I do not see the full merits of the work as you have described, yet having some knowledge of the man, there is no objection I could make to his lines which I would not make to himself. He is rare, of open eye, ready hand, and noble scope. He sets no limits to his life, but is somewhat a bare hill, which the warm gales of spring have not yet visited. A wider and deeper human experience will mold the man and melt his verse. I can have no better advice for a person so sincere. Margaret Fuller.
Dear Counselor, I write in assistance of a young friend of mine, Mr. Henry David Thoreau, who has taken time from his literary pursuits to invent a new, improved method for the production of pencils. I believe a patent application for this method would be successful, and the financial support from such a patent would be of great importance to this young man's family. Might you look at the drawings and specifications included and give us advice on how to make such an application? Sincerely, Ralph Waldo Emerson.
And then there's volume 2 of the dial. You can take the time to pause and read those passages, but for now, we're going to hurry over to town to make sure we can mail this manuscript out before the end of today. Alright, drop this in the outgoing mail and see what we got.
Ah, there you are, Henry. I think your sister was just in and collected a letter from your old friend Miss Sewell. We haven't seen her much recently.
We have another letter here too.
My dear Thoreau, I learned today that your essay is accepted to appear in Graham's magazine. It is likely to be paid for at the usual rate of $12, but I have not heard a word on that yet. I think you may need to wait until the article appears before making further inquiries on payment. In the meanwhile, please send me more of the same short subjects as you have them ready, and I will be your agent in further business of this sort. Success to you, my friend, Horace Greeley.
All right, so we're, published. We may or may not be paid. Some new arrowheads out here as well.
Shall we always study to obtain more of these things, and not sometimes to be content with less?
That's a pretty good summary of kind of one of the main themes of Walden, I would say.
We boast that we belong to the 19th century and are making the most rapid strides of any nation. But consider how little this village does for its own culture. It is time that we had uncommon schools, that we did not leave off our education when we begin to be men and women.
Amen.
Don't let Ellen's rejection of your offer come between you, Henry. It's a terrible blow. I know you and John both cared for her deeply, but think if she had accepted one and left the other to watch their happiness from the outside. No, to turn you both down was the kindest thing she could do. And you still have John and I and our beloved woods to console you.
November 1840. Dear Sophia, I have never felt so badly in my life as the day I refused Henry's letter of proposal. But Father does not approve of his transcendental philosophies and instructed me to refuse in a short, explicit, and cold manner. It is all over now, and I hope that though I have dashed the hopes of both your brothers, we can still remain friends in the end. Ellen.
Well, that pretty much sums up what happened with that story. First John and then Henry both proposed, and both were turned down. There's a notice of payment to Mr. John Thoreau Sr. for supplies of graphite to be used in the making of pencils, delivered February 12, 1845. Total owed $10.50. So again, we can pay the family's bills if we earn enough money. There's another manuscript that we can mail, so we'll do that tomorrow. And then we can read passages from Slavery in Massachusetts. Alright, back to the journal at the end of day 2. Not a lot of entries for today, and no new species to add. Day 2, we were busy running around doing other things. We're going to wake where we are and take this manuscript over as well. The final day of late fall. Okay, let the mail take care of that. And from here, we will head back down towards the pond. On the way, we're going to stop and harvest the last row of beans. The weeds have already grown up where the others have been. And we're going to pass it by once again just in order to make a little bit of extra money. We're going to fill up our food stores from things that we can harvest from the wild. Okay, and we'll head back up and we'll grab the last of our beans to sell. Ooh, winded. Gonna have to take it slow. Okay, so our total profits now, after selling all the beans, a penny short of $17. One of the achievements you can go for in the game, which I'll be aiming for eventually, is called Walden Millionaire, where you earn over $100. A big portion of that comes from selling your manuscripts. Beans is also a big contributor. So we'll rest here by the fire. You can tell that as the season changes and the weather gets more harsh, it takes more to maintain your clothing and your cabin, is what it seems like to me. We have a letter that was dropped off.
Dearest Henry, you are a model of self-reliance. I am overwhelmed with admiration, as is my daughter Louisa, who speaks of you often with youthful affection. I write to tell you that your article is in print in Mr. Garrison's Liberator. He tells me it makes him weep with fury. Surely this is payment enough for your troubles. Your friend, A. Bronson Alcott.
Okay, chop a little wood here, get our fuel stores back up. It was full. And we'll do a bit of this until we have to rest, which won't take long. Yep, alright. Go rest up again. Alright. And continue patching it up. A lot of prep work getting the house ready for winter. Okay. Alright, how's our food doing? About half full. We can gather some more sumac berries since they're close. And I think to end the day, we're going to go down and try a little bit more fishing. We have a few more common shiners we need to catch for Dr. Agassi. See if we get any lucky catches. So now that we found the fishing rod, we can pick it up here close to the cabin. And if you're attempting to catch these animals, you can catch all of them from this spot close to the cabin if you choose. I said you can catch all of them close to the cabin. You can buy a nicer fishing rod in town, which will give you a bit more luck in fishing if you want. Wow, we're really striking out. What kind of bait is this guy using? Hey, and that is not a common shiner, so that is not helpful. Really striking out. Once again, we don't need any more perch. You can see a duck out on the pond with her young ones. If you can.
Interesting.
There's the mallard duck. We also got the perch. Dullness is but another name for tameness. As the wild duck is more swift and beautiful than the time, so is the wild, the mallard, thought. And the yellow perch. I was surprised to find myself surrounded by myriads of small perch about 5 inches long, of a rich bronze color in the green water, sporting there and constantly rising to the surface and dimpling it, sometimes leaving bubbles on it. So we've added the yellow perch to our list, but it looks like there's entries for each of the fish as well, which if you can catch them swimming by, you can add to your journal, so that's nice. But we can add the mallard. I don't know that we've seen the mallard before. Alright, it's getting late on our last day. Let's see if we can catch any more fish before the day ends and the season changes again. I see fish swimming down there. Hey, there's a common shiner. Nice. So we won't be able to go fishing in the winter. Unfortunately, there's no ice fishing. Whoa. I caught another walleye, which is great, but not what we need. Looks like walleye is the biggest fish. Yellow perch has those distinct, big, sharper fins. And then the common shiner is the smallest one, very silver colored. Still no luck. Oh, another walleye. One looked like a perch. A little bit smaller than the walleye with a bigger fin. Hope I'm not mistaking that. Yeah, that one looks like the perch again. Too bad you can't sort of like smoke the fish and keep them for food in the winter. Hey, the second common shiner. I believe, I'm just going to double check our journal real quick. I believe we only need one more. Oh, it says we need 2 common shiners. Interesting. Thought we only had one left. Hey, we got lucky quickly. I'm gonna double check the journal one more time and make sure it still says 1. Yep, one last common shiner. And that will be the last of the specimens for Dr. Agassiz. Big walleye. Another walleye. We don't lack for food stores. Another perch. Another walleye. Another perch. Man, we're getting everything we don't need. They call them common shiners. No good. You can see if you're in an activity like boating or fishing, it will extend the day a little bit longer too. Hey, there it is. Our last common shiner, and we are done with fishing. And we have collected all the specimens for Dr. Agassiz, so we'll be able to hear from him by visiting the post office and getting a letter from Dr. Cabot. I see one last arrowhead over here as the day is ending.
Every man looks at his woodpile with a kind of affection. I love to have mine before my window, and the more chips, the better to remind me of my pleasing work.
Okay. So with this, our day will end. So this stream ran a bit longer than the usual season, just because we did all that fishing. And very, very few entries again today. But we added the mallard duck to our species list. And that will end the fall season. And when we wake, we will be in a new season. Early winter.
Winter has arrived, and a regular snowstorm has commenced. Fine flakes falling steadily, and rapidly whitening all the landscape. In half an hour, the russet earth is painted white even to the horizon. I know of no other so silent and sudden a change.
Okay, so that will end part 4 of this series, and next time we'll be starting in early winter. Thanks again for joining.